For a lot of people, when you go to training, number one, you need to find a really good training. A lot of the training that's out there, especially from some of the more common, I call them big box trainers, is very, very poor. I'm just going to be straight with you. Like, there's a lot of big companies out there that do training. You might see them. They might be called, national something. They might be called, I don't want to say their name, but they've been training people for 20 plus years, that kind of thing. And when you really dig down into it, what you find is that the training you get there is you in a room with another 100 people, and you get very limited experience with hands-on. Half of your time is spent you doing didactics, which means like watching people, read slides about Botox and fillers and that kind of thing. And then you get a very, very limited time to do hands-on training where there's, maybe 6 or 7 people with one patient. You might get a chance to do a single line of injection. That's really not ideal. It's not a good way of training. So once you find a good training, what you want to do is you want to do it in this order, because if you have followed all the steps now, as soon as you finish your training, you can actually go back to your practice and start to see patients immediately. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to do training, wait 6 months while you set up your company, while you deal with your medical director, while you get your website up, while you're doing all that stuff. You don't want to be waiting that long and then say, oh man, now I'm ready to treat patients, but it's been 6 months since you did your training, so now you forgot it all because you didn't do it every day. So it's better to put your training kind of towards the middle of the process rather than the beginning, because you want to make it where you can do training, and when you get back to your location, to your hometown, that you can have patients waiting for you, even if they're just family and friends, so you can immediately start practicing, immediately start using those skills. And then finally, there's a lot of different ways to kind of get off the ground. So once you have your training done, it's under your belt, you're practicing on your neighbors, your friends and family, you can actually start doing mobile injecting if you want to. A lot of people have done this very successfully, having mobile Botox parties. It's a really great way to get started. There's a lot of demand for mobile Botox, and if you're just doing Botox or neuromodulators like Botox, it's fairly safe for you to do. And you can almost always find a group of usually women or moms or, whatever, realtors that want to have Botox. They all want to get it at the same time. They're going to be hanging out at this one location, and you can meet them there every, X number of months and do the Botox for all of them. And it's really kind of a fun and easy way to get started, and it builds your client base. Alternatively, what you can do, and what I would suggest, is when you want to have more of a physical presence, is go make a deal with another medical entrepreneur. So if you find another, like for example, an OB-GYN that owns their own office, see if you can make a deal with them to rent an office room from them. You can also send out letters to chiropractors in your area, letting them know that you're starting your own med spa and you're interested in renting a room from them. These are all very, very cheap things that you can do that cost you little to nothing, and will give you an immediate physical presence where you can actually practice. So you can have your own location, and in some cases, if you're renting a room from a chiropractor, your rent could be as low as $300 a month with a month-to-month contract. You can cancel at any time, so your risk is so minimal. Versus, classically, people were always told, go out, find an office, lease it for 3 to 5 years, build it up, have to pay for all the construction costs, etc. You don't want to do that. Do things on a shoestring budget. It's the best way to go, because it will force you to be profitable the entire time. Is it more of a difficult journey than deploying, a whole bunch of money or investing, thousands of dollars into your practice? Probably. But the thing is that by making yourself go through each of those steps, you're making sure that you build everything correctly, and you're doing it in a way that basically your efforts or your work that you're doing is essentially paying for the building of your business.